Well, good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's got their good drink because I've got a hell of a guest on tonight. I've got mine poured, but I guess I'll introduce the guest before I introduce the alcohol. Today I've got Alie from Alie in Wonderland, which is a fantastic channel, mainly focused on Metroidvanias, but she just started dipping her toe into game reviews as well. So I'm going to let Alie introduce herself and we'll kind of go from there. So, Allie, tell everybody a little bit about yourself. Pretend like you're not the 80 sub channel here, and pretend like they don't know who you are.
Okay, my name's Alie. I have a YouTube channel called Alie in Wonderland, as well as a Twitch channel, which is also Alie in Wonderland. In my YouTube channel, I mainly focus on Metroidvanias and platformers. On the Twitch channel, I basically focus on everything, a variety of genres. So I definitely like to stream a lot of different games. Um, I started to also write for a press, which is gamereviews.com. So I do a little bit of everything, I guess. And yeah, that's it. That's my introduction.
So I talked to a
Which
lot
was
of no, that's perfect. I talked to a lot of YouTubers on here, but I will confess you are only the second games journo I've actually had, like actual games journo. The first being Paul Gale from Paul Gale Network was on earlier.
oh,
And so I guess that'd be kind of a good starting point because that's one place I don't have any experience in by choice, I would say. But how does it differ making YouTube content from having to make that kind of deadline game journal content? Tell me a little bit about that because I'm kind of interested in how those two things differ more than they're alike.
I think that okay, gamesreviews.com is there's no deadline. That's where I got lucky, I
Oh,
guess.
that's
Um
awesome.
Yeah, so it's kind of more like a blog as opposed like the way that they treat it is a blog. I don't know if there's writers on the platform that actually have oh hey Miss Mandia, how are you? I don't know if
Hey, Mandy.
you know they actually have someone else who writes in that platform that does have to go by a deadline, which I'm assuming maybe like the one in charge might have to, but like for the writers that are on like on the side, it's kind of like a blog thing. You play a game and you choose what you want to write about,
Okay.
you post it, and the end. So my focus for basically that side of my content creation is mostly Metroidvania. So like if I have a Metroidvania that has not come out yet and I had the opportunity to play it before release date, I definitely want to get out that press, review before the release so that a lot of people can see the review in writing before they can actually see it on my YouTube channel. This actually helps because I'll write it out, I'll have the script, and then obviously I will post it on my YouTube channel in my own words later on. So this is something fairly new. I just started, which is why you don't really see a lot of content on my YouTube channel. You actually see a lot more content and flow going on my Twitch channel because I can just press a button and stream for everyone. But like on the YouTube channel, it's like if a Metrovania comes out, if a platformer comes out, I'm obviously gonna play it, and I like to play it until at least 50% completion,
Okay.
and then I can sit down and write a review. So
Now
definitely.
I like that you post your parameters as well, and you tell everybody very clearly your parameters because this is kind of a strange contentious thing in gaming. Apparently, because you've got everybody from like Gerard the completionist who does 100% and he does a game a week fucking somehow.
Yes. And then we have
Holy shit, that
Rally.
guy. And then you've got other folks that like especially in the corporate journosphere, which again, not going to call anybody out specifically, but I strongly suspect some of these game journals don't play hardly any of the games from what I've read. So,
So that's actually something that is funny. I was talking to so I was talking to my good friend. We were discussing how come I don't go into writing a review like when I already have like maybe 2 hours into the game, 3 hours, and like this is something that I want to avoid as a reviewer for video games. And I think there's a positive and a negative. The positive is that I can get out a review with my honest and full blown honest opinion about a game.
right.
Now, I try never to do a negative review. Here's why. For example, There is a game that I'm currently playing. It's a Metroidvania called Kingdom Shell. When I
Okay.
started playing the game, I was like 2 hours in. I was like, nah, like I was not into the game.
Not feeling it.
And I was like, I wasn't sure if I was going to write a review about this game. Like, I was like kind of nervous that maybe I was going to end up going negative. But then I was like, he's a solo dev. The graphics are great. Music is good. I'm assuming he did all of that on his own. So I'm going to give it a shot. I am now 10 hours into the game. Well, okay, 10 hours is no. It's like 8 hours maybe into the game, but like I have like maybe 2 or 3 more hours left of gameplay. And I have to tell you that I really enjoy the game now. It is so good. It has such a different like a different throw on Metroidvania, and if you play the game, you're gonna understand why. Or if you're gonna watch my YouTube review or my like the press that I'm gonna write,
Hmm.
once you see what I written or played, oh my god, my English, that's it. Once you see it, you're gonna realize that the game is it's in a fantasy world, like you're reading a fantasy book. Has all these different creatures like fays. They have like the all like it's just it's like as if you're reading a book instead of playing a video game, like you're inside a fantasy book. That's what I keep making it as. That's the type of genre Metroidvania. And honestly, it captured me. Like after maybe like my fifth hour into the game, I was like, wow, this is a great game. Now if I would have written a review, let's say 2 hours in, it would have sucked. I would have written what everybody else is writing because I see the negative reviews on the Steam page. I see
Right.
some negative reviews on Google when you Google the reviews for this game. And it really upsets me because it's exactly what I was thinking when I first put the game on and started playing it, where I was like, oh, this game is not actually captivating me in the first 2 hours. 5 hours in, this game is really good. And I can't believe a solo dev actually worked on it. So definitely makes a difference for someone who's a journalist to sit down and actually play the game. It's the same thing for people who review games on their YouTube channels. I despise people who get out a video every day on a new game review. How do you finish the game? You don't even probably play an hour before you're like, okay, let me just throw a review for the views. That's not how it works. So
Yeah, I mean,
definitely my
and I can respect that 100%, Ali. I can respect that 100%. You've seen how long it takes me to get a fucking review out. And a big part of that is, I mean, and here's the thing, like I definitely agree with you. I'll give a game 5 hours. I'll give a game 5 hours easy. I think that's especially like a Metroidvania. I think that's a fair ask. I guess my question is, because there's a game that I infamously played called Final Fantasy 13. Now, Final Fantasy 13, I walked right into that shotgun right after playing fucking Final Fantasy 6, the best goddamn game in that series, right? So there's the context. And then I walked
uh-huh.
immediately into Final Fantasy 13, and I got all the way to chapter 9 in that fucking game before I finally quit like 20 hours in. I finally
Yeah,
tapped
and
out. I couldn't hack it anymore. So,
wait,
you know,
remind me, I think Final Fantasy 13 is the one that's on PlayStation
yeah, I played it
4.
on PlayStation 3 is
Oh
where I
my
played it. But I
Gladiator, thank you so much for rating. Oh my god.
but I'm not
Uh,
honestly certain of. I think it might be on other platforms. It's the game where basically you get to either be a win crystal or a fail zombie. Is how I kind of jokingly refer to that storyline.
uh-huh.
And
I think I've heard.
it's the 100 hour long fucking tube. And some games are slow burns, and some games just don't get fucking better. So I guess my question is, so you said 5 hours, and I think that's a pretty good line, especially for Metroidvania. But where is your line where you go from, okay, I'm not feeling this, but I'm gonna give it a little bit more time, and when does it get to, all right, this sucks?
I even had a great example and I forgot the name of the game that I was recently playing like that.
Okay.
Oh, uh let me make sure.
Hey, Belmont's here. What's up, Belmont?
Hey,
And then
hey
Mandy said,
Belmont.
"Whoa, woo, dual stream." Yeah, this is it. Now this is a first tonight on Friday the 13th. We
It
are
never
trying to do a dual stream, and somehow it's not fucking up. So we are defying the curse that is Friday the 13th, and I love that.
the best thing we just broke Friday the 13th. There is a game called The Night Witch. First when I started playing it, I wanted to quit within like the first hour. One, because I'm not into shooters and like bullet hells, and this is like a Metroidvania slash bullet hell game, and I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm not, you know. And then as soon as I, you know, got in and bypassed, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it a shot because it is a Metroidvania. I have no choice. And like maybe 3 hours into game, that was it. I was captivated by the game. A lot of people would have probably just stopped and quit in the
Hmm.
first hour. But what I like to do is I like to give myself a rule of like 2 hours into the game. It has to be at least 2 hours because, first of all, it depends on how many locations I've, actually found. For example, I'm not going to do or throw away a whole game by just exploring one area of the game. I need to have at least maybe two or three like locations to actually have like a really good, I guess, feasible idea of what I'm going to be expecting from the game. But he said doggy on the couch, best stream ever. Of course, we always have to have the doggy in the
Hey, if
background.
the dog goes in the background, that's always great.
Yes. I know that for some people, everybody makes their own like adjustments of a game. And I try to give it at least 2, 3 areas that I unlock.
Hmm.
Once I pass the 3 areas, if I still don't like the game, then I just go, okay, this isn't for me. And there are a lot of games like that. For example, and everybody is going to say something. If anyone here is actually watching who knows me, I do not like Metroid games. This is really
You're
funny because
hold
I
on,
like.
hold on, real quick. So you're a Metroidvania channel that doesn't like Metroid?
I know that sounds really
No,
funny, but
no,
like
it's all contraire. That's fascinating to me. Um,
um I I just cannot get into a Metroid at all. Like, so I opened up Metroid Dread because it's like everyone's like, you have to play Metroid game. You have
oh,
to
it's
play Metroid
fabulous.
game. I'm
It's
like,
it's it's fucking
so
fabulous.
I open up Metroid Dread and I'm over here like shaking. My Switch is shaking.
Oh, Allie, still there?
So I'm like in stealth mode on the game, and I'm just like, this is too creepy for me. I can't do this. I'm not continuing.
Oh,
And like I
okay,
kind of like
gotcha. Okay, I
I
get
turn it
that.
off. But it's not just that. I also don't like the shooting element. I guess I really just do not like shooter games, and that's just my personal preference. Like I might be able to play like an arcade mode of like a shooter where it's like I forget the side shooting, the upper shooting. Like if I have no choice and I'm bored, like I know I used to have that on my PC and that's what I used to
Right.
do. But like this isn't the go-to genre that I normally would go to. And so I really do not like anything that has to do with Metroid. Um,
Um,
yeah,
so
that
so
that
I
is the
have a
thing.
I do want to try to see if we can suss out and explore why that is, and I actually have a hypothesis, and it has to do with another Metroidvania that's one of you and I's favorite games. But we're definitely going to get there. But I guess that would be a kind of a good place to start before we interrupt, because
Uh-huh.
Rush Dog's going to jump my ass if we don't do this. I always forget, my drunk ass always forgets to introduce the alcohol. So I am currently finishing off the bottle of Hennessy XO tonight, which is a
Nice.
fabulous, I would say, upper to mid range cognac. Like if you guys are on for cognac, now keep in mind this is for cognac, folks. If you're on a budget, Hennessy XO's kind of hard to beat. And yes, for cognacs, that is a budget cognac. In terms of, because there's cognacs that are literally tens of thousands of dollars. Which I cannot see paying that for any bottle of alcohol. Like maybe before the day I fucking die, I'll buy a nice cognac like that. But in general, yeah, the Hennessy XO is going to be about where I tap out. Is that for a cognac, it's going to be that $150 to $250 range. That's about the max out. And what are you drinking tonight, Allie? Tell everybody.
Today I'm not drinking. I was
Not
going
drinking.
to, not drinking at all. No,
So we
just
brought honorary Kool-Aid for Allie, just like we had for AJ.
I'm gonna have to put it somewhere. But yeah, no, I just nothing tonight. I am gonna be a good girl.
No, and that's 100% fine. You're healthier for it. But I guess
Yes.
that's a good segue to kind of explore this this dislike of Metroid. I guess my question would be where so did you start with Metroidvanias or did you onboard with a different genre like a platformer? Where did you get your start in the hobby? What game brought you into this thing?
So I a funny story is that I did not own not one Switch game before 2020. Oh,
Not one Switch game. Uh-oh, Allie, I think we lost you. Oh, Allie, still there? Still there, Allie? Uh-oh, I think we lost her, folks. Let me give something a quick try real quick here. It's Friday the 13th. I blame it's cursed. I blame the holiday. Allie, I'm gonna disconnect real quick and I'm gonna reconnect with you. Give me one moment here. All right, Allie, can you hear me?
yes, I can hear you. I don't know what happened. My Bluetooth just decided to disconnect on me.
No, not a problem. So you were telling us a little bit about we're just gonna blame Friday the 13th. So so you were telling everybody about your story on how you onboarded into gaming, and you said you had
Yes,
no
so
games prior to
I had
2020.
nothing, and the only game that I ended up buying eventually was Pokemon Eevee. Epic fail.
Okay.
Hey, that's not my fault, Gladiator. That's the headset, okay? I had Pokemon Eevee. I remember not really actually even playing it. I just kept it on the shelf with my Switch that was collecting dust.
Okay.
2020 happened, and all of a sudden I was like everybody else, figuring out what the hell I should spend on from all the anxiety of 2020.
Oh God, that was a year.
I uncovered a YouTuber that I really enjoyed watching because I started Pokemon Eevee. And as I was playing Pokemon Eevee, I needed some kind of walkthrough. And so I found this YouTube channel with someone who was talking about the game and giving a little walkthrough about it. And then I was like, oh, she's really cool. Like, I want to see more. Like, this isn't something that I normally do on my spare time. And she started to talk about all these Switch games that she plays, and I was like, "Ooh, RPGs. Ooh, cozy games." Like it was just like over and over again. Like this is something I want to have. So I went on Best Buy that day and I bought a couple of games. Lucky for me, I had some extra jobs. Like I had a way to fund this addiction in 2020, and so one game became two games, two became three, three became 50, 50 became 100, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, at this point,
And
I think you got
so
me beat in terms of Switch body count.
I think I have 700
Oh, you got me
now.
blown out of the
Games.
fucking water. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, I stopped a little bit though. So, now it no, but back then I think we were on the same around number, but I think it's like 700 now. I haven't done a count. They're all like on the left side right now because everything that comes in, I just stick it here because I'm studying for an exam. I don't even have the time to do a
Right.
video of like what I picked up or anything. I don't have the time for anything right now. So I remember I gave birth in May. So it was like smack during the pandemic. And my go-to game, whatever, when I went to the shelf, like I kind of closed my eyes. I was like, I'm gonna pick a game from my shelf. I'm gonna play the game.
Hmm.
If I like it, great. If I don't like it, I'll go to my next game. But like I need something to do while I rock my baby to sleep.
Hmm.
So I got Hollow Knight.
Oh my God, that's big.
And I started Hollow Knight. And I remember like 1 hour into Hollow Knight, I was already done. It was like I was sitting there, I was like a zombie.
Hmm.
I wasn't sleeping because of the baby. I was also in grad school at the time. So I went from like C-section to like the next day starting my grad classes because the semester started. So I was like straight off from giving birth to playing video games and studying, and it was Hollow Knight. So I was up till 3, 4 in the morning trying to fight Hollow Knight. I'm telling you, you might have heard every curse word till like 3 o'clock in the morning because I was like that super addicted to Hollow Knight. I've never been addicted to any video game. I've played Hollow Knight 3 times since then, all over again from the very beginning. All have about 80 plus hours. I am that crazy. That game, I must have played it left and right and upside down.
You're not
So that's what
crazy. The
started.
the game's just that goddamn good.
It is really good. Like I
And
feel
so
like
yeah, and there's my hypothesis, and that's why I want to kind of hit you with and explore that. So, was that your first Metroidvania? Was Hollow Knight?
well, as I got into this genre, I realized that we've always played Metroidvanias. I guess we just never called them that, but like most of our retro games growing up were Metroidvania style. So like Castlevania, Mario, um, Kirby, all the Zelda games when you have to unlock places. I'm assuming this is all Metroidvania style because we've never really called it that. We called it some kind of other genre. But I'm assuming since then is when I really developed like this love and passion for games that have platforming and, puzzle thinking, I guess, and, like RPG elements to it. So
I love
I've
how
I'm
by the way, I
guessing
love how you mentioned Mario there because I agree 1,000% with you on that. 100
100%. I feel like
100%.
Mario.
Mario 3 is I call Mario 3 an
Yes,
open air game. It's an open air game. And what
that
I
is the
mean,
Mario that I was going to say that
uh-huh.
is very like a Metroidvania. So
Absolutely. You've got like you've got the world map where you can choose your levels. You've got the levels that are very wide open and you can go up, down, you can explore, you can go down pipes. Um 100%. And the more people that's why the new games lost me so much a lot of the time is because they lost that more free form open air feel of the classical Mario levels. Of course, it started with World with the levels getting longer, and but even World had areas where there's different multiple exits. Mario absolutely fits that bill, and the term I like is open air game because I can't really classify them as Metroidvanias, just especially like a Zelda or something like that. But when you're talking about a game with wide open levels that you can kind of choose your path through it, like look at the choices that go into a single Super Mario Brothers encounter. A Goomba approaches, right? So you can stomp the Goomba, you can literally jump over the Goomba, you can get a fire flower and spike the Goomba with a fireball. You can take a
100%.
pipe and 100% skip the Goomba. You can
Mhm.
you can bust blocks and go completely around the Goomba. There's about 7 ways to deal with that particular encounter.
And you're
Uh,
also forgetting that if you remember the first Mario that we all love and adore, if
mhm.
you would jump up into like the second level, all the way up into the ceiling. I remember I discovered this pure accident at the time. Like everybody
Yes,
else,
skipping levels.
yes, this is definitely kind of like like where did this come from? There's like a secret path in Mario and you can just skip like 15 levels and it's like you're unlocking basically a whole different journey or a different pathway.
Uh huh.
I consider a Metroidvania not just what they usually say. Oh, a Metroidvania is like opening up doors, figuring out paths, getting abilities to continue and progress in the game, um, you know, getting like defeating enemies and bosses. I consider a Metroidvania much more than that. I
Okay.
consider Metroidvania advancing levels, like you said, changing abilities and figuring it out. Like I know that my style of gameplay and attacking a boss might be different from your style.
Mhm.
So I think what Metroidvania does is incorporates everything we know about every single genre and putting it into one game. And then we use our abilities of how we are gamers to that game, and we just figure out.
I'm really interested in that definition. That's really good. So essentially, the Metroidvania is in and of itself, it's the emergent gameplay that we as gamers do while we're playing. I really rather like that. Now the reason I mentioned Hollow Knight specifically is because if Hollow Knight was your formative experience in what is considered the genre, it's going to be really fucking hard to compete after that. Like just about any other game, and I don't give a fuck if it's Metroid Dread. I don't care if it's even and yeah, Belmont, even Symphony of the Night. Like Hollow Knight is damn near a perfect game. And it's not that Dread isn't great, and it's not that Symphony of the Night isn't near perfect as well.
Okay, so my headset just like not working today for some reason. It's never
It's
happened to me
Friday. It's
before.
Friday the 13th.
It's because I said I didn't believe in Friday the 13th that it's not doing this to me now.
Uh huh.
But
It's the
as
curse,
you're
man.
talking, I'm gonna try to get another headset into my system. Give me 2 seconds. I'm
Not
sorry.
not an issue. Yeah, and I'll continue my old man ramble, kind of fill that space. But essentially, that's going to be a really fucking hard game to compete with in my eyes. So if that's your start to what people consider the genre more narrowly, a game I'm going to tell you, a game like Metroid Dread doesn't have a prayer, Allie. It just doesn't. And so one of my hypotheses, aside from just not liking the shooting mechanics as much, and as far as and that oppressive sci-fi atmosphere, which is why I love it, but I can see why other people wouldn't like it for that. I would also say that just having to have that game is going to be in direct competition with Hollow Knight. Get the fuck out of here, man. Hollow Knight wins. Hollow Knight absolutely wins. And what's astounding is that game was made by 3 fucking people. Like that's what just amazes me. But while we get Allie a chance to get that headset up, I guess we'll kind of go through comments here. So it looks like we got Belmont, we got Mandy in the house. Yeah, not too much more on that side of things. So we're good to go there. So at this point, we will just await and see if Allie can get her headset woes being cursed by Friday the 13th under control while I sit here and take a drink. So, but I hope everybody's having a good night. I've had Friday's been pretty fantastic so far, and I guess I should tell you guys while we're waiting. My Morrowind playthrough got completely fucking nuked. So I downloaded a mod. This asshole of a modder forgot to test his mod. Beautiful version of the city of Vivek, but essentially it leaves the arena open, which means I can't complete the game. So that whole thing is nuked. But the good news is that on Halloween, Lake Andoram expansion for Morrowind releases, and so we'll be starting a new playthrough. And this time we'll have Lake Andoram and Morrowind modding madness will be over, so we'll probably have some fun new mods to play with. So it's all I can't complete that game, Mandy. I'm stuck at a point where you have to do a duel in the Vivek Arena, and because the Vivek Arena is open, you can't finish it. It doesn't trigger that encounter because it's supposed to be a closed cell, and he forgot that when he modded and made the arena open. So Bulvin Venom literally can't spawn it. Is how that worked out. So yep, that that sucks. But again, when you have lemons, you make lemonade. And the lemonade is that on Halloween, we've got a whole nother chunk of Morrowind's land coming into being. And to the south of the Coronati Basin. So we're gonna have Lake Andoram expansion in the city of Almastir. And I couldn't be more fucking excited. I am so pumped.
You hear me, right?
I can, yeah. And actually I did a pretty good
Okay.
job fucking waffling like an asshole. I didn't do too bad. So
So I still have to try to configure it on my stream. I don't know why it's not letting me actually move it in. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Now it's working.
not a
Okay.
problem. So
We shouldn't have any disconnects now. I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what
no,
happened with
no.
this headset right now. Okay, so I'm now good. This
It
headset
would
never let me down.
it wouldn't be a zoo stream if something didn't happen. Usually it's my end though. Like usually I forget to add myself because StreamYards is weird where you have to add yourself into the video. That's why you see this sidebar of my speaker going off. If you don't have that, if you don't add yourself in StreamYards, you're just talking into the void. Nobody can fucking hear you. I've done that at least 3 times, so don't feel bad. It wouldn't be a zoo stream if there wasn't some dumb shit happening on the technical end.
Oh, great. All right, now I know.
So anyway, that's not a problem. Um, so anyway, what I was saying is like, yeah, Hollow Knight is absolutely the greatest in terms of the narrow definition of Metroidvania. I think Hollow Knight's the greatest it's ever been. I think it's the greatest by a long shot. Yeah, Metroid Dread's good. Super Metroid is great. Um, Symphony of the Night is fantastic, another near perfect game, but none of them are fucking Hollow Knight. None of them are what this 3-man team were able to accomplish successfully. None
Wow,
of them.
that's a lot of praise right there for a Hollow Knight. I mean, I played
100%.
did you clip this whole little headset that is the Curse of Friday? Oh my god.
It is the curse of Friday the 13th. Hey, live is
God.
forever. We're going to get clipped for this shit.
Wow, okay. I'm going to kick your butt, Gladiator. So what was it going to say? I totally lost it. Oh yeah. So I mean, I've only played Aria of Sorrows so far. I have a really big backlog for Castlevania games.
Oh, Belmont's going to be stern with you.
I know he's gonna be telling me right now, what? But like I'm hoping to get into like the 3 games that are on the DS. I know that those are really good games. I mean, people have praised them. They're really expensive on eBay and they're like scalps. So I'm assuming that they're great Castlevania games. So I do want to get into those 3 eventually. They're on my backlog. I know a lot of people say that the Castlevania games are amazing. But like since I started with you play Bloodstained, that's Castlevania. Okay.
Might as well be.
Um
Yeah, might as well be, definitely. Me and Belmont were actually talking about that on his
yeah.
appearance. But hey, if you really want to trigger the fuck out of Belmont, just tell him this. Tell him that you played hey, I played Castlevania. I played all the good ones. And I tell him that, and I haven't played Rondo of Blood, so that triggers the fuck out of him.
Rondo
Just be like,
Blood.
I played all the
I
good
think
ones.
Shammy Bambi says Order of Ecclesia is very good. Hashtag underrated.
See, I haven't played that either, and I'm waiting on the Advance. I never had a Game Boy Advance, so I've got 3 Castlevanias coming to me on Switch whenever fucking Limited Run Games wants to get around to shipping their shit. And I guess that'll be kind of the next segue we
Do
wanted.
you have you gotten the Steam Deck or you're not gonna get it?
Tell me about the so sell me on the Steam Deck, and I tell you,
Tell you
I can
about the Steam Deck.
almost sell myself on it because I'm thinking to myself, modded Morrowind on the toilet or modded Morrowind laying in my fucking bed. That almost sells me on it. But how are
I
you
can
liking
tell
the
you
Steam
that.
Deck?
So let me tell you something. I'm gonna if you're gonna use it for modded games, then yeah, the Steam Deck is really good. But I can't get into all my PC games on it, so I definitely wouldn't buy the Steam Deck for my PC games. But I do have this little Game Boy, and right now, off the top of my head, I forgot already as the name of the company. But I just got it, and it came with like I think over 200. No, more than that. No, it had more. It's like over 1,000 games already in it. It has
Holy
all the
shit!
Castlevania Game Boy games. It's not even expensive. It's like I think $100, and it's a very pretty, great graphics, little Game Boy. I'll pass you the link later. So if you just want to play like Game Boy Advance, they have I think Atari.
Okay.
It has the arcade games. It has PlayStation 1 games.
Well, just what I need, more games.
So, and it comes with all of them already built in, but of course you can also go ahead and download games and put them on as well. So if you're interested in something like that, it's just $100. You don't have to go crazy with the Steam Deck, which is like in the 700s or 500 to I guess 800 range. So honestly, I feel like for my Steam Deck, the only reason I will touch it is because I have all these modded games there, and that's
Right.
awesome. And graphics are amazing. No like complaints at all with
Yeah.
that deck.
Modded Morrowind on the go is like a holy grail. Like, oh my gosh! And I'll never get that on the Switch. I don't even think I'm gonna get
Um,
Morrowind on the Switch. So,
I've never played that game,
oh, you should.
so
Oh, you should. Oh,
um,
it's literally the greatest game ever made. Well, it's in my. There's 5 games that compete with that regularly around 5 games. So it's one of the best games ever made. Oh my god, the story, the world building, the story, the political machinations that are present in that game between the great houses. Oh, it's so good. I can't sing enough praises, but I'm going to be playing it after Halloween. So I'm getting a mod list together right now, so definitely check it out. You can see if you'd like it. Morrowind is not safe for work. That's a lie, Mandy. Morrowind is safe for work. I just fucked up. So full disclosure, that's been fixed, by the way. So you won't be able to slander Morrowind in such a way after Halloween, because I do have the Better Bodies mod fixed, and it has underwear this time.
Whoa. Okay.
So
What are we talking about here? Now,
okay.
I'm
So
gonna go
some deep
Google
lore.
this game.
Well, no, the game is fine. The game is fine. I fucked up. So when I was doing the mods, there's Better Bodies is required for the McCorn's heads, which is another mod I have to fit on the Tamriel rebuilt characters, which is an expansion into mainland Morrowind, because the island of Vardenfell is the only area in the base game because Bethesda ran out of time. So you only got a province. So Tamriel Rebuilt is a project that looks to expand that to the rest of Morrowind and eventually Tamriel. And so I downloaded the Better Bodies mod, and I didn't pay attention. I just downloaded the base, and I didn't realize you had to actually select another module for the underwear version. So I ended up with, like, there's some quests where you run into like Nord barbarians that are on the road and they're in their undies. Well, my game had the version that didn't have any undies. So, like, I'm sitting
Nice.
here getting punched, and when in Morrowind, it's hilarious because when you're punched, you fall down. And so when you fall down, you get a full camera view of Nord junk. And it's was not great, but that again was not the game's fault. Morrowind is absolutely safe for work, just not on that stream.
Oh, well, now you didn't tell me on this game. I was hoping for a game that's, not safe for work. What is
Oh,
this?
well, if you want not safe for work, play Fear and Hunger. Although
Oh,
Fear and Hunger,
I thought you were gonna go in with Baldur's Gate 3. That's what everybody's doing these days. So literally,
Baldur's Gate 3. Apparently, you can literally plow a bear. So apparently,
not
if
just a bear. We can go through many more other things that we've never thought of and only in dreams.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I hear that game is very lewd, which is, and God, I'm never gonna shake that fucking nickname, because I play Fear and Hunger on my stream, and it's got the nudity and shit. I fucked up with Morrowind, and that's got the nudity on there. And then now I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3. So it's just like, oh, it's Mung and Loot again. I swear to God, if Star Control 2 somehow has nudity, I forgot, Mandy is going to laugh her fucking ass off. And
Oh well, at least it's not what this recent game that of my friend and I found. Well, I didn't find, he tagged, but now that I have it, it's like whoa. So like, if you guys want nudity, Scarlet Maiden has it all. And
oh,
I mean literally has it all. I mean like literally, if you want everything, it's there. It looks like a platformer, so that's that. But besides nudity, there's everything else you can think of, and that one you guys should not play if you're at work at all. Yeah.
noted. And I got to tell you, this conversation is not helping my rep.
You're with me. The conversation will never go any other way.
Well, I'm in good company at least. It's not just me that's manga and lewd. But so speaking of getting fucked, yeah, limited run games and all these game companies. I counted it up, Alie. I'm at 20 fucking games that have not shipped. Some of them over a year. So what is your body
Yeah.
count on limited run games? How are you doing on that front?
So I have two limited run accounts. In my first one, I'm only missing River City Girls 0, which I haven't seen in over a year. And because of that, my Ender Lilies Collector's Edition is being held up. And those two say ready, but it's been ready for 3 months and it's still not being shipped. So I don't know what's the holdback of that, but it should not take 3 months when they have the stuff already in the warehouse to come to us. I feel like there needs to be a better system for that. On my other account, because I changed it up a little bit so I can like forget the older and start all over, I have roughly around 15 pre-orders, like games that are, and of course I didn't learn from my first mistake, so like I'll see like 50, like 5 games that just came out on limited run. I'll press add to cart, I'll purchase. So essentially I'm waiting for 5 different games to come out on different dates to put together in the future. I probably won't see these games until 2025, when probably the first Switch will be already gone and the new Switch will come out, and I still won't see those games.
It's
So that's that.
I tell you,
Thank
I
thank
learned
you
my
for the
lesson.
gifted sub.
Oh,
Thank you so
nice,
much.
nice. Always good
There's
to
a
get those.
there's a party in Wonderland now. Um, so
Yeah,
that's
actually,
that.
speaking of that, we've got Tony in the chat says, Alie, we use your soundboard sometimes in Discord when having watch parties. Ooh, woo, senpai. So yeah, you're getting a lot of love over here too.
Ooh, senpai, and that is so funny because this is
Ooh,
like
senpai.
the talk of my Discord. Apparently, with that soundboard, you're just using ooh senpai. You're really not using arara. I mean, come on, that's like what is it with you guys?
Yeah,
Um,
speaking of a woo senpai, I've got to get it is my mission in life to get Jay watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I think he would enjoy it.
I haven't seen that one yet. It's on my list.
Oh, JoJo's is great. JoJo's is
I
great.
heard it is great. It's still there. I have like maybe 40 animes on that list that I have to go through. So,
Yeah, I've got a few anime that I watch, but I don't stray too far away from that. It's something I want to get more into. I think everybody was yelling at me that I need to start One Piece, but it's like 1,000
oh,
episodes.
okay. So I already mentioned this in Jay's podcast. I'm not going to go into it, but you have to watch One Piece. Now, I was the one that used to say, no, One Piece is taking, forever. I'm never going to watch this anime. Like, there's too many episodes. I had to watch it because I watched like the real Netflix version of One Piece and
Right.
kind of fell in love and kind of simped on Zoro of that one. So I was like, before I finish, I have to see what the plot is actually about, like the real plot, not the plot, but the real plot. And so I ended up watching One Piece, the anime, and first episode drew me in. And the thing about One Piece is you can't watch one episode because they ended in a way that you'll have to continue because you want to know what happens next. And so suddenly I went from one episode to like 40 episodes in like 1 week. I think I'm up to season 2, like maybe I guess the 6th episode already. So it's going fast. I think you can do it. Do it. It's really
Okay.
good. It's
Okay.
worth it.
Alrighty.
Definitely
So
worth it.
definitely, like I said, like the ponderous way I do anything is just like again, like I guess I should mention my review style. So I don't complete a game. I'm not insane like in a good way like Gerard. I don't complete games. But what I'll always finish a game. So I'll finish the main story of a game. I'll finish the main hook, whatever it is. So that's something I have to do before I write my review. And then more than that, as I play the game, I will also connect it to other things that interest me. So, for example, playing through Persona, no, it's not just enough, and that's what's taking the review so damn long. It's not just enough for me to play Persona 5 Golden. Oh no, now I've got to read some Carl Jung as well because the game
I
reminded me of
see.
so much Carl Jung and the shadow, the true self, and so now I'm doing that. So I just got finished with some Jung and some Freud, and that's part, and also kind of looking into like Japanese legal system, and so every, my reviews are not just a fucking review. It's like this deep rabbit hole of what's going on in my fucking head as I play a game, and so that's what takes so long.
So this is something that I do with my reviews a little bit different though. Like I don't just play the game. I go on their website, on the devs website, to see like what's the history behind the music, history behind the devs, history behind the game, what drove them to, make this game, what elements do they use, because
Oh, awesome! You're
so
interested
I'll
in
sit there
You're
and
interested
research.
in lidology, and I love that. Yes, me
Is
too.
that what it's called? Oh no. So I'm
Lidology.
gonna be writing. So I'm
Lidology
gonna
is
be.
lidology is the study of how games are created and processed.
I see.
Hmm.
And then that's what exactly what is something that I really love is I can't just write about a game thinking like, oh, I just picked up a game and I'm going to play it and write about it. I want to know what is about the game because maybe what I thought was completely different from what the dev's perspective was. and I'm writing totally like fake news when it's actually something completely different. So I want to make sure that what I just experienced is on par with what, like the devs are basically talking about. So,
But it's not really fake news, is it? I mean, if you interpret a game different, because death of the author, right? So once they put
uh,
that fucker out into the world, it's not theirs anymore. It's yours now.
uh, this is true. This is like, I guess, when you look at a painting and everyone has a different perspective of the painting, 100% you're right. But before I write my version of the review, I do want to know like the history behind the
Me too.
game, only because when I want to talk about it, I want to talk about it the right way. I don't want to just be like, yeah, the music is wonderful, the end.
Oh
I want to
yeah,
be like,
no.
and so created the music based on and his passion is seen based on and, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, there's a game
That's
called Ape Out that I kind of did that with, and Ape Out was done by one guy, and it was born of his love of jazz. And essentially, you're an ape that escaped from somewhere. You escaped from like an animal lab or whatever, and so you're just trying to escape. And he paired the rhythm and attacks and assaults of this ape on his environment with this jazz. And jazz, of course, being like a very free flowing music that kind of represents, freedom at its maximum. It's kind of the anarchy of music, right? And so when you pair all these fucking elements together, you get this really cohesive game that really came at me in a time when I felt like I was really, really trapped in a hellacious high stakes negotiations at work. And I just come home and I just felt fucking drained. And and this is a game that literally I really identified with this ape struggle for freedom, as fucking stupid as that sounds. And that's the kind of stuff that I'll do in there. But yeah, I would never. I went down a whole jazz rabbit hole because of that game. Found a lot of great Japanese jazz music, and oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I think it's absolutely important to know where a game comes from, especially so you can hold them to their own standard. Because here's the thing: devs will often obscure their own history. I see this with Nintendo all the fucking time, right? Where now all of a sudden, oh, we don't know what that is. Alice in Wonderland, we don't know what that is. Fucking bitch, you lying bitch. You absolutely do. I can show you an interview where you talk about Alice eating the mushroom and getting smaller and larger. You lying fucker. Why are you doing this to your own games? And they do it all the
yeah.
time, and it's so funny to me that they do that. And so I always like to know, and honestly, I don't know why they're embarrassed about it. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Everything is derived from fucking something else. And so why does it take away from your masterpiece that you drew from literary nonsense such as Mario or such as Alice in
hmm
Wonderland? You drew from Gulliver's Travels. You drew from Laputa, Castle in the Sky. There's nothing wrong with this. These
I
are some
think
of
everyone takes inspiration from something because I don't think that it's not that originality doesn't exist. I just think that there's so much out there now that it's impossible for you not to kind of copy somebody else's work.
and that's what I mean
And
by
I
there's nothing new under the sun. So don't shrink away. Don't feel like you're doing something
100%.
wrong. And I feel like that's basically what it is. Like Miyamoto wants to be seen as this auteur gaming genius, and so he can't have inspiration from anything. And it's like, bitch, please, I know what you were inspired from because you've described it in interviews from the 80s. I know that Zelda 2 came from Sleeping Beauty. I know that Mario came from Alice in Wonderland and Gulliver's Travels. I didn't say
Oh
that,
yeah.
dude. You fucking said that.
I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
That wow,
Zelda
that's interesting.
Zelda was inspired by Ultima in large part. It was
I
Ultima and it was
never knew. Oh my
yes,
goodness.
and it was Ultima, and it was his adventures going in the woods and caves of his youth growing up in rural Japan. That's what inspired The Legend of Zelda. Pikmin was inspired by Mule. Mule being a game designed by Daniel Bunton, who is literally one of the founding sisters of this hobby. And I mean, and I say sisters, just like King's Quest, also designed by a woman. If you go back in history, everything is inspired by something. Donkey Kong inspired by King Kong. And we know that in Rush, you're right there. And we know that's the fucking case because Nintendo literally had a gigantic lawsuit over this with
I
with
wow.
with the makers of King Kong. You literally can't, but they try. They try. I don't know if they can try on Donkey Kong, but they try. They try on Mario, and they really try on Zelda. And Metroid, I'll give Sakamoto this. He openly admits that the alien inspiration for Metroid, and he should. It's absolutely fucking alien, and he admits that. I've actually, and to
Mhm.
this day, he hasn't tried to retcon it, and so it bothers me when game developers do that, and you see it mainly out of the so-called game gods, not so much out of indie devs. Indie
I was
devs,
about to just say that indie devs are more like humble when it comes to their game creations, and they'll
yeah,
always give credit where credit is due. And it's always like when you see their Kickstarters up, they'll be like, Hollow Knight and Ori, and this and that inspired me to create this wonderful Metroidvania. And I
hmm
think that people appreciate that more. I don't think that it's bad that you mention who inspired you, because we all have inspiration. Like when we have someone that we have as a role model, you're obviously, it could be anyone, it could be a scientist, it could be a doctor. People who create medicine, they are looking at someone else's medicine that they created to expand and make it better. That is exactly what creation does. And like, you make a video game and you're inspired by 3 different games. You're about to make maybe a masterpiece. Maybe it'll become the game of the year, but that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. I think that's something to be praised about, because
yes,
when they win the game of the year, let's say they took an inspiration from Team Cherry's Hollow Knight, all of a sudden Team Cherry gets the praise because, like, look, this game, they took inspiration from you. They just won game of the year because you've
hmm
inspired them and you've made them this big. Look at you. You guys were the reason that they grew. And like, I feel like this is in anything. I feel like everyone should always make everyone feel positive. Instead of feeling jealousy or, feeling like somebody stole an idea from us, I feel like everyone, if they work together, I feel the world would be completely advanced and everything would be a better in the world. Because if we would help each other and inspire each other, we would create better and maybe more advanced, creations, I guess. I
well,
don't even know
yeah.
what to use, because it's just in general, like in the whole aspect.
Well, I see it with what I do in terms of my job. Human beings are human beings are multiplication of values. They're not addition of values. And what I mean by this is it's not so much just stacking one idea on top of another idea on top of another idea. You can get success on that. But what I find fascinating is the times where a value is multiplied. And let me give you an example of that. I have a good friend that's in Texas, right? And he had two different values that were entirely separate. He had a knowledge of real estate law, so he started out his career as a real estate attorney, so he knew the legal loopholes to buy land, right? But he paired this with another skill that is a little bit less common, and that is the fact that during his college years, to put himself through college, he worked on oil rigs and he worked on oil derricks and gas derricks. And so by multiplying the value of real estate law with the value of knowing which buying land cheaply, and pairing that and multiplying that with the value of knowing what to look for and where to dig for oil, he's now one of the richest people in the United States.
Wow.
That's the multiplication. So human beings are a force multiplier. And what I mean by that is that's something called cybernetic theory. Are you familiar with cybernetic theory?
No, I've never heard of it,
Yeah, so
no.
cybernetic theory or recursive theory is it's not in the terms of computer. People think cybernetics, they think computers, and that actually comes from a much older term, the whole cybernetic thing, linking that to a
Mhm.
computer, because cybernetics is an examination of the way that things maintain homeostasis and the way the world endlessly reacts and interacts with one another in a recursive fashion. So if you think of something like the spiral, right? If you look at everything from trees to rivers to the fucking Milky Way, you will see the spiral is a common shape, the Fibonacci sequence, common throughout nature. And so what cybernetic theory states is that we're all actually there are no actually individual segments. We are all cells in one massive organism. So for example, your body is made up of different organelles and cells. And then we're a part
Mhm.
of society, which that would mean we are individual parts of this cohesive. Now you don't want to lose the individuality. That's a struggle. You want to maintain that. because that individuality is going to lead to and yield different people, which can then be force multiplied with other people that have read different books, other people that have had different life experiences. But ultimately, what you want to do is you want to embrace that recursive cybernetic aspect of ourselves and our world. And that's how you get magic happening, man.
Interesting. I've never seen it that way. Okay.
Yeah, I can certainly recommend a couple of books if you're a reader. The Recursive Universe by Poundstone is really good. Um, um,
Hmm.
and really, really good look at that. Kind of goes into some other things as well. It goes into like Ashby's Law and some other things and some rules of cybernetics. But it's a dense read, but I'll tell you, it'll blow your fucking mind wide open as far as like what we're capable of if we're not worried about who gets the fucking credit, if we're just worried about making things the best we possibly can. Again, I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face. Hollow Knight was made by three fucking people. Three
And it
people.
was amazing.
Clear inspiration from games like Metroid, Castlevania, Dark Souls. They don't fucking lie about it. They wear it right on their sleeve where they came from. And I
I
will
also
argue
see a
that
little
game
bit of
stands up to
like
anything.
Tim Burton in Hollow Knight.
Oh, for sure. I never thought about that. Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Tim Burton in Hollow Knight.
100%. 100%.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess that's what frustrates me. I mean, Hollow Knight hasn't been unsuccessful by any means, but if you look at the Metroidvania in terms of the narrow, I actually I'm going to explore your idea of Metroidvania more. I think that's amazing and fascinating. But in terms of the narrow definition of Metroidvania, I guess my question for you is: do we have any idea why this genre can't seem to break out of a 1 or 2 million sales? The peak of the genre is still OG Metroid in 1986, and to me, that is fucking criminal. In terms of these games just not being able to break into the mainstream. And do you have any ideas on why that may be? I have a few, but none of them that are solid. I mean,
I think that everyone is going to prefer retro over, our games that we have going on now. I truly believe that the reason they're not getting like the top numbers is because, if we have to go, like we have Belmont who's here with us,
mhm.
he loves Castlevania games. Those are retro games. If he had to choose between Bloodstain and Castlevania, he's obviously going to go for Castlevania. If you have to go for like a shooter like, oh, what is that? That Metroidvania that looks kind of like Metroid. Oh, I don't have it off the top of my head, but I know that it's created very Metro style, and it's retro with graphics. It's like, I think it's like 2D. Um, and if only I remember the name now. But like, you'll never say that that one is better than Metroid. That's what my like the comparison is. If only I remember names now, but like they're
Right.
gone out of my head. Um, but it doesn't matter. We're always going to go with what's the better genre and what's the better game. We're not going to go, oh yeah, Hollow Knight is definitely 100% better than Castlevania, because Castlevania started it all, and I feel like there's more love to that because we're talking to people that are in their 30s, 40s even.
Hmm.
30s and 40s, they grew up on those games. They're never going to say Hollow Knight is better than Metroid or Castlevania games. They're going
Yeah.
to say we want the OG,
Oh,
Nintendo,
you're
Super
not.
Nintendo.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Actually, there's a great video on this that is really making me examine because I'm one of those crusty old fuckers, right?
Ah, well,
I'm one of those people who we will see do this, especially with Mario, especially with Zelda. And Super Eye Patch Wolf just put out a phenomenal video called "The Simpsons is Good Again," and
mhm.
you should check it out if you have time. It's an incredible video, and he literally brings that premise up when he says that he talks about like things do change, and in his perspective, he was one of the people. Simpsons was his bugbear for years, and he said people do change, and things do change. The things we love do change, and that's okay. But like, and then he shows us. He says it is sort of golden age thinking because go to season 6 of The Simpsons. Right, it's one of the by considered nowadays to be peak television, one of the peak seasons of television ever fucking made. And if you go back and look at the reviews in the Wayback Machine, like Super Eye Patch Wolf did, you will notice that they hated some of these fucking beloved episodes back in the day because it wasn't like the old Simpsons. And this is back in season 6. We're on goddamn season 30 now.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So this
They're
is
really.
so the point is this has always been ongoing is his hypothesis. It's his argument is that this golden age thinking, it's always been better back when I enjoyed it, has always been a thing. And I am super guilty of that. Now I'm not saying I'm wrong. I like the argument and I'm willing to entertain the argument. I'm not willing to say I'm incorrect on that. I do think 2D Mario is better than 3D Mario. I do think
Mhm.
classical Zelda is better than Zelda, Chore Time Puzzle Zelda. I do believe that, but I'm willing to examine whether that is a sheer quality thing or am I seeing that through a golden age thinking. I'm definitely willing to look at that 100%. But what do you think?
I'm the same. I'm not, I mean, I'm not closed-minded. I like many genres and I like to try them all out once. But if I had to go between, let's say, the new Zelda and like the retro Zeldas, of course I'm gonna go with the older versions. I grew up with them.
They're just better.
You know, I mean, I feel like they're better. I feel like they're more, for me, they are more fun. I feel I don't have anxiety when I'm in an open world game. Like when it's like 3D and it's like smack in my face, like I can't for some reason get into games like that. This is kind of why, if you notice, many of the games that I play are 2D Metroidvanias or
Mhm.
pixelated cozy games. You'll never really find me playing Dark Souls, not because I don't like it. I think that it's a really great game. I think I can
Right.
definitely get into it. I just can't get into the 3D all up in your face. Like the enemies are 4 times bigger than me. Like I just, for some reason it just gives me like this provoking anxiety of playing these games. Like I think I made 60 hours in Zelda Breath of the Wild. Opened up some towers, really wanted to get into it because everyone is praising, these games.
Oh, it's
I
amazing.
want to
Yeah.
know why, like I'm sure they're great. I know they are, but I dropped it. Like I dropped it the first time I started it, then I got a lot more hours in the second one and I still ended up dropping it. But I would never drop an old Zelda game. Like I would play it now from start to finish.
100%.
I can't say how much I love the games that I grew up with. They were just amazing, and the nostalgia, the way the game was designed, the way it made you feel, it's different. Like there's
It
this
is.
more love to those games than now, because now, yeah, Hollow Knight is amazing. I agree 100%. But there's like 30 other Hollow Knights now. There's nothing I know
I
we
don't know
discussed
about that.
originality, and
I was
that's
gonna say,
okay.
yeah, I don't know about that. There's only one Hollow Knight for me. I've not seen it.
It's funny.
I've
I
not
was
seen it
you.
outdone.
I was you. I was you. I was you a couple of months ago, but now that I'm playing all these Metroidvanias, I have to say that nothing is really like, okay, that's probably why Hollow Knight still is my favorite game, because everything else is kind of like a cheap copy of
Yeah,
of Hollow Knight. You know what I mean? And
it.
like, but
Yeah.
but but you won't say that with like Castlevania games, because that was the original. That's the real
No, you're right.
Metroidvanias,
No,
I guess.
yeah. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to really know your game history to say they're a copy of something.
Yes.
Like I could say Mario is
100% too.
and it's not true, but I could technically say Mario is sort of a copy of Jump Bug because that's where it derived its inspiration from. Which
I've
was
never heard of that game.
Jump Bug was the first scrolling 2D side scroller. It was called Jump Bug. You could technically say Grand Theft Auto came from
Uh,
Pac-Man of all things, and that's true. You can look that up.
wow.
Pac-Man
Okay.
directly inspired Grand Theft Auto. And also a game called Body Harvest on the Nintendo 64, which is still one of my favorite 64 games I ever played.
So, and I never heard of either.
Yeah, it's which literally was directly made by the people that led to Grand Theft Auto. So, Axiom Verge. Now, Better Health, Better Gaming says
That's it.
Axiom Verge.
That's the game. That's the game I was comparing Metroid to. Axiom Verge. Oh my gosh, you just said it. So
Made by
that's the
one
game.
guy. Made by one guy to fund his kids' health care. So, I want to throw that out there. That this made by one dad, and
Wow.
outdoes a lot. And I guess that would be my one question I would ask you. How do you feel about this indie revolution literally completely disrupting AAA gaming now?
I love it more
How
than
does that feel?
anything.
How does it feel?
No, because I mean, I am a supporter of all indie devs. I like them more than AAA titles. I think you can literally find better games when it comes to indie developers as opposed to AAA games. I feel like AAA games rush their games to get them out to you on a higher price. They don't put the same love, and that's why a lot of people complain when they see like a game taking 3, 4, 5, 6 years, like Hollow Knight, right? Silk Song, guys. Is that a real thing or not? Stay tuned.
Right.
But like Silk Song, for example, how long are they taking? Like I think that I was with my when I first played Hollow Knight, they were already talking about Silk Song. Silk Song started then. It's still going. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't think I'll ever see
by the
it.
way, I've got my clown nose on.
Yeah, forget the clown nose. We're gonna need a lot more than that
We're
nowadays.
gonna need the wig and the makeup at this point.
Some people are actually thinking that we're crazy because we talk about a non-existent game. So maybe we shouldn't be
Well,
talking about it.
maybe we shouldn't talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good. So Rush Dog says, I thought Pac-Land was the first scrolling platform. Possibly, yeah. That's the other one I typically mention. Somebody do a deep dive. Somebody fact check me on that. It's either Pac-Land or it's Jump Bug. They were really close. But yeah, those games, yeah, you could say those games came before Mario. Pac-Land as well, for sure. And Pac-Land might be first. I'm not willing to die on the hill that that game didn't come first. Those are both really early side-scrolling platformers for sure. But yeah, if someone could fact check, Rush, if you could do that and just do a confirmed fact check on that, I'd love to hear it. Always worth having. So I guess we're kind of winding down. We want to get to something you're going to be doing a little later, and we'll share that announcement here at the end. But I wanted to go before we head to that. I wanted to see if you had any questions for me, real quick. I always like to give the guests an opportunity to kind of interview me.
Something that I've wanted to ask is when you write your reviews, what games do you actually focus on? Because I know you love Metroidvanias just like I do. But I also see that you have a lot of variety of genres, and I was wondering like what makes you choose what you choose, and what makes you decide that you want to write about it.
Yeah, so that's a good question, actually. Basically, it varies from day to day. So there's some reviews I've been working on literally for fucking ever, like the Breath of the Wild review, because that one's very special. And it might be the first video I do that actually has video. So there's
Oh,
that.
nice.
Um, baby steps, right? Uh, but mainly it's just what am I interested in playing at that time? Like right now, I just finished up a game called A Space for the Unbound, and
Oh, I know.
and
Okay.
actually, what got me in that is I went to a fantastic Indonesian restaurant, and in doing that, I thought about, oh wait, I got a game for the Switch that is literally set in rural 1990s Indonesia. So I need to do that. I need to play that game. And so sometimes it's just as simple as something like that. Other times it's people literally pestering me like fucking Nish Quick, telling me to play Xenoblade Chronicles 2 forever. Sometimes it's people like OJ telling me, "Hey, you got to play this game forever," like OJ with Persona 5. So sometimes it's people pestering me into it. Sometimes
Hmm.
it's just a random experience I have that pulls that game. Sometimes it's a game I'm really, really fucking pumped about. So, for example, on the 20th, I'm going to be playing nothing but Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and don't ask me to play anything else for the foreseeable future. Um, I am so fucking excited for that game. Like, I feel
I
like I can't
see.
again. Um, yeah, definitely. But it varies. But most of the time, if it's not somebody saying, "Hey, please play this," it's going to be an experiences randomly that I had. Like for
So
example,
you'll. Hmm.
like
Go
for
ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, oh, that's okay. So for example, after a hellacious week at work in particular, I was drawn to a game on my vacation, by the way, called A Short Hike. And so sometimes
Oh,
it's
I love that
yeah,
game.
visual
That is.
novel. Oh, A Short Hike is wonderful.
Oh, and that's a great game to play during autumn season. So, yeah, not that I'm, commercializing anything, but if you have nothing to play during autumn,
Play
it's a
it
great game to play.
100%. So any other questions for me?
That's it. I think that's it. That you've answered it. And but what I wanted to ask you when you were saying that was, so for you, when you write your reviews, you just write based on what you're playing for your leisure time. It's not like you're writing because you have to write it. You're just doing whatever you're playing.
100%, yeah. And any game I review is going to be at least a year out, typically speaking. Again, I'm going to
Hmm.
play Mario Wonder, but please note, folks, I'm not going to be reviewing Mario Wonder, not yet. And the reason
This is
for that,
actually the best way. I mean, I think that
yes,
playing for leisure is better than,
playing
what I'm
playing
doing.
playing for leisure, and more importantly, when I review a game, it has to be outside that hype window, because that hype window, that social proof that is interacting with you. If you're playing a game during the hype, when you play a game when it just came out, you're right in the middle of the hype window. You're right in the middle of that hype
Hmm.
train. That social proof is just jamming on all cylinders. The persuasion is all around you. It's a relevant
Yeah.
game. I like to review a game after it's no longer relevant if possible. Sometimes that's fucking impossible, like Breath of the Wild or Dark
Hmm.
Souls. I can't wait to get to fucking Dark Souls, one of my favorite games of all time. And that's going to drive me mad because I don't know if there's a goddamn thing I can say about that game that hasn't already been said 1,000 times. And
That's
I,
true.
same with Breath of the Wild, although I found something with Breath of the Wild. I have a pretty
Oh,
unique,
interesting.
I have a pretty unique angle on Zelda because of my own personal history with it. But Dark
Okay.
Souls is a whole nother animal. Like, man.
Sounds.
But that said, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up because Allie has
Hmm.
something she wants to announce, and then you're all going to, because I am using my social proof and my authority principles on you for persuasion. You're all going to follow us to Allie's Twitch stream, and we're going to go watch this very special thing that she's going to tell you about now. So
Great. You guys are going to be watching me scream like a little girl. I think that it's actually supposed to be really scary. From what I just read, I don't know if I picked the right game because I don't know if I'm going to get through it alive. Um, so, um, so yeah, so I'm going to be streaming it's not out yet. It's coming out October 17. So I'm only going to stream whatever it is till 11 p.m. where it's under a certain strict, I guess, policy. So we're only going to see like maybe 30 to 40 minutes of this game. It's called Vlad's Circus Descend into Madness. It is a game about Vlad, who I think the circus, something happened. I'm not sure yet. We're going to get into that when we actually start the game,
okay.
but we have to escape. It's like a labyrinth of nightmares and torment. And there's like puzzles, but you're also like kind of surviving. And I guess there's jump scares. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch me scream every 5 seconds.
Oh, 100%. Nothing better.
Um, but yeah, I'm really curious to test this game out and see how it's going to go. It's like a psychological horror survival with puzzle
Fantastic.
elements.
So I guess we'll finish up.
Um,
We'll read through the comments here, and then you're all going to, of course, follow me over to Allie's stream. But on my side, comments wise, we've got a giant ape named Kong kidnapping a woman, climbing a skyscraper. Can't hide the inspiration on that one. Rush Dog says 100%. Don't be surprised if Miyamoto doesn't try. That's what I will tell you. That's a shifty dude. I'm telling you. I have every respect for what the Miyamoto has done, but I also have a love hate relationship with the guy because he just seems just hell bent on fucking cratering every one of his classic franchises. Um, Nintendo. Anyway, I can't give him too much shit. The Switch has been an amazing era for first party Nintendo. They have come absolutely back from the dead. Um, let's see. Matt Belmont says, I think it's because people prefer realism over fun. Yeah, I think there's some extent to that. Although I think there's a diminishing return on that. And I think you're going to start to see that. We saw it sort of in 2008 when every game was like a gray, grim, dark, dumb, muscle Hulk bullshit. And people got tired of that. And I think people will again, for sure. Belmont says, every single time I need my Universal Monster Mashup game series, but I still love Bloodstained. Yep. 100%. Bloodstained's great. So, yeah, I love Bloodstained as well. And Rush Dog did do a fact check. Jump Bug is 1981. Pac-Land is 1984. So, Jump Bug was first. Thanks, Rush. I appreciate that. Always good to have the fact check just to see. But, yeah, I thought Jump Bug was first, but it could have been either one of those games, honestly. They're both those. That is the dawn of the true 2D platformer, like the beginning of the actual scrolling platformer. So yeah, I think that's it. I think we're gonna wrap up. So I just got one more question for you, Allie. Did you have fun?
mhm. I did a lot.
Fantastic. And
We should do this again.
we're gonna do this again because I was gonna say there, we got to go to your stream and we got to check out that game. But in the future, yeah, there's so much more we got to cover. 100%.
Yeah, I think we should do another podcast, but like the full 2 hours. I feel like we have a lot to talk about.
Oh God, oh, yeah, I could talk, and if it wasn't for, and I know you got to get to your thing, but so we want to be respectful of that. But yeah, I could absolutely talk to you for. I mean, fuck it, you've seen me go 3 hours before. You've seen me go 4. Nobody's gone 4
True.
hours with me yet, but I'm not leaving. Some mad lad is gonna go 4 fucking hours with me somehow and not kill
I
themselves.
don't doubt it. It sounds fun.
So
Yeah.
alrighty, and maybe we'll see you at the open bar on Sunday that I'm gonna be doing with Jay. So I guess I'll
Oh,
announce that.
nice.
Yeah, we're having
Okay.
it's open bar on Sunday. We're going to be having
Nice.
anybody who wants to come in. We're going to have a community event in the Cold Knights Discord, talking to the Cold Crew. Anybody's welcome to pop in and shoot the shit and
Oh,
have a
that's
drink with me and Jay.
awesome.
So,
Awesome.
all right. Well, thanks so much, guys, for coming out. I appreciate it. But you guys have a great rest of your night. We're gonna go ahead and kick the chat, and we're gonna kick them the fuck out of here. And by that I mean we're gonna kick them over to Allie's Twitch stream. So expect to see everybody there. Full social proof, full persuasion working on you guys. I'm a trained hypnotist. Don't disappoint me. Don't be defiant.
Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime, and we're gonna have you again. We'll schedule for a round 2 at the bar. 100%.
Sounds good.
All right. Take care, guys. Everybody, take care.
Bye, everyone.